guys already saw Mr. Frederick, was calling it a paintbrush. We call it a key lock or a kimura. I mean, a kimura, either way, it's the same thing. But, one way they call it an Americana, the next way it's a kimura. This here we call a key lock. When we do the key lock, the paintbrush is actually like part of the technique. We call it, you slide the hand down like a paintbrush. So that's where, the name you guys are using for it comes from. But one other detail I want to cover while we're here in this position. Maybe turn the other way, Dave. This way. When I'm cross-side on my opponent, one of the things that I don't want you guys to do, especially if you're training with a grappler who has some experience, this guy on the bottom, his mission at this point is obviously for survival's sake. He wants to put me back in guard if possible. So when the guy's going to put me back in guard, his first attempt, if he's knows what's going on, he's going to try to hip out and bring his knee back inside and face me. So, we only have so much time today. I don't want to cover a billion things. I'd like you, even if you learn 2 things today, that you can use, it's well worth it. If I get one new move when I go someplace, it's well worth it to me. So the detail I want to impart upon you here is because his first line to escape is to recover guard and to bring this knee back inside. When you're cross-side, it's okay to keep this knee tight to the hip and drop this leg back. I don't want to drop the leg that's by the hip back. And the reason being, I'm leaving him space to bring that knee back inside and recover. All right? So, just a little detail, when you're here in this position, we get here, we like to get this leg, this arm out as well if possible. It's not necessary, but it helps us to keep him secure. I like to keep my knees tight to him. You'll see this grip, we call it a gable grip or monkey grip, shell grip. It's just a grip without the thumbs. Because a guy, when you have these thumbs, it's easier to break the grip when the thumbs aren't, are there. So we go this way so that you can, it's a little harder to break it. You wrestled, so you know already about that, none of this stuff going on. And, a nice solid cross-side position here. Knees are wide, my butt's low. I want to be heavy on my chest. And I like to keep, if you ever watch The Ultimate Fighter, especially when Matt Serra was the coach, all you heard, shoulder pressure, shoulder pressure. That's what he's talking about. He's just talking about not drilling it, but just keeping your shoulder tight so that your opponent can't look and turn his head and face you. Awesome. For him to get me back in guard, once again, he wants to turn and face me. So it's going to make it harder for him to do that if I'm keeping his head on that side. All right? So now one of the things I like to do here when we go for the key lock, a guy on bottom, a lot of times he's going to try to frame me up a lot to get here to make space so that he can get in. The other reason he does this is because, if I'm here trying to keep him tight, I'm putting pressure on my own neck.
It doesn't take any effort for me.
Yeah, it's not. He's just creating a frame here. And you'd hear me talk about frames all the time if you train with us, because this is a way for Jamie to stop me from being able to really get real tight. And it doesn't take much effort at all, because I'm never going to get through this bone in his arm. It's like Renzo used to tell me, with the frames, like you can watch TV, are you going to sit at home like this and watch TV? Or would you just lay here like this?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because your body's built to support weight this way. Well, it's the same thing with the frame. You're just creating that frame, and you can squeeze all day. You're not going to break the bone. The humerus in this guy's arm. So now I'm here cross-side. He's trying to frame me up. I like to come with my thumb on the inside. If you guys want to move around here so you can see. I like to grab this thumb from the inside, start to push this down. When I push it down, I try to feed it to the hand that's behind the head. And the reason I'll do this is if Jamie's trying to straighten his arm now, again, he's fighting, you know, the laws of nature here. My arm's not going to move through his head. His arm's in a weaker position.
And the thumb again is not
over the top. Yep, always. And then we'll show you why when the next move I show you. So the thumb again is in that shell grip. Once I have this here, I'm keeping my weight tight. Now I'm going to take my hand and I'm literally going to lock this up before I move the elbow to the other side. So once this hand's locked, now I'm just going to take my elbow, slide it, and put it right in that pocket. Because now it's harder for him to defend. I have this on, it's locked up already. From here I'm attacking. If I start this attack on this side and I'm trying to secure this and I got a strong guy, he's going to be straightening the arm, he's going to be fighting me. You know what I mean? It's going to make it a lot harder. So while we're here working and he's pushing or whatever he's doing and I come this way, now I have this under my control. Now it's totally under my control because I already have his arm in the position I want. So as I slide this over and this is in the pocket, now we're just going to slide this down and do the paintbrush. Slide this down, lift, and he taps. Okay? So it's all this stuff, man. It's just little details. You know,
that's good. I mean, that's important. I mean,
I always call it jiu-jitsu. It's like kinetic chess. I mean, because I'm trying to get a grown man to say uncle, and he's not trying to cooperate. So, you know, unless, you know, I can just physically overwhelm you, you know, you have to rely on your technique. You know, and anybody who's seen any of the history, seen, you know, Hoist.
Absolutely.
You know, the UFC was an infomercial for Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
I have every UFC.
Yeah. You know, I mean, Hoist is a 170-pound guy. He's that big around. You know, when I trained with him and he took his gi top off, he told me not to laugh at him. I mean, that's how skinny he is. And, you know, but obviously a great technician, and he used those techniques to beat guys that are physically and athletically superior to him. So, you know, the techniques are powerful. So, you know, you want to make sure you can be as technical as possible because it'll make your energy use more efficient and it'll just make the technique more efficient. All right? So, again, while we're here, make sure we keep this knee close to the hip.
Other leg back.
Okay, you can drop the other leg back. I do use that when I'm really going for it just because it makes me heavier and it's harder for the guy to roll me. You know, a lot of times, too, what happens when you're going for this, or you've got both hands over here, if this guy's strong and I'm getting my weight lean, and he's going to, you know, I'm 295 pounds. It didn't take a lot of effort because my weight was not distributed properly.
Mr. Rallo, it doesn't also have a lot to do with leverage?
Oh, absolutely. This is all based on leverage. So I keep myself here. You know, we're looking, you know, taking this to the ground. I feed it to the other hand. Bring this in. Elbow right in that pocket, I call it. And then we're just going to slide this down. Finish. Keep the thumb over the top. Any questions? Cool. Let's try it.
Chris? Sure.
You're doing it on me first. Oh, I am no.
Mr. Rallo, chest.
Just one. Over you. Good.
Let's work in over here, give you somebody to play with. So you push up.
Want to do first? Yeah, when you're drilling, just drill. Don't fight back. I'm going to fight back. He doesn't know how to do the techniques.